Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fix Your BS, where BS stands for belief systems. And we talk about 5 major pillars of life: relationships, business and career, health, faith or belief, and finances. And I try to bring people on that really give a great example of how you can excel in one or more of those pillars. And today I think I have an example that helps you to understand how to excel in almost all, if not all. What do you think? What do you think, Jarrod? All or almost
I
all?
think I've done a pretty good job in all of them.
I think you have too, which is why you're on the podcast. This is Jarrod Glandt, everybody. He is the president of Cardone Enterprises. You may have heard of Grant Cardone. He is out there everywhere trying to be omnipresent, and Jarrod has helped him do that. I was lucky enough to meet him and his wife, Sandy, and they have a couple kids, Jake and Jordy, and they are so family-oriented and yet extremely successful. I get to see his Instagram posts where he loves to spend time with his family, fishing. They take him on trips, but he also works diligently as the president of Grant Cardone Enterprises, and is always finding ways to innovate and grow the business. Now, a lot of the listeners to this show having something out of balance with their family and their business and their finances, and they're trying to figure that out. So I'd really like to talk to you today about that, Jarrod, and I just really appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. And I was just saying before, I don't do a whole lot of this stuff, but when I find people that I feel like have taken what we do and they've done something extraordinary with it in terms of actually applying the stuff. I mean, information's one thing, but applying it is where the magic is. And you've done a great job of that. And so I'm happy to be here.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. And I talk about that all the time. I know doing all the big events you have done, and I've participated in most of them. You guys keep coming out with more of them, so I can't say all. But I participated in most of them. And obviously GrowthCon is one of the major ones. And I'm sure you've run into and dealt with seminar junkies over the years. Can you talk about that? People that go to these seminars and never actually implement the information.
I mean, we through all of this stuff we do, I mean, we're touching millions of people a year. Very small percentage actually do anything with it. I mean, we've got millions of people on our email list. We've got tens of millions of people that follow Grant online. And, you go into a room, let's just say Grant's got 20 million followers. The biggest event we ever ran had 34,000 people in it. That's a big, huge event, massive stadium, tons of attendance, probably the largest business event that's ever been done. And for 3 days, rather, on Super Bowl weekend, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, that's
pat on the back about that one.
You should, because if anybody's ever run an event at all, like I play music, obviously the guitar's behind me, and there was a mentor of mine. I ran an event for 50 people, 50, and I went, how is there so many things that need to be done for 50 people?
Yeah.
A couple of years after that is when I went to that conference. That's how I was introduced to Grant and his content and you and your family. And I was sitting second row at that event, and it blew me away. It literally was a life-changing experience. It really was. It was a moment where something clicked in my brain and my belief system changed.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I was alluding to, is that like you were there in the room. Out of 20 million people that follow Grant, only 34,000 went to that event, and it was the biggest event we've ever done. And so, through webinars, live events, the webinars that we do online, we get tens of thousands of people to register. Maybe 20% of them actually show up. Maybe 20% of them actually decide to spend even just a little money, $100, $200, $300 to get a program that's going to teach them skills. And then those numbers just keep getting smaller. And then, you've been to our business summits and our boot camps and all that. And those end up having 700 or 800 people in it. So you go from 20 million down to 800 people. And it's like, even the people in the room learn exactly what to do. We show them example after example, and they just don't do it. So it's like, a very few people actually implement. And it's literally the one thing. Like, if you took all of our information and you implemented it 50%, the result would be life-changing. And if you implemented it 25%, the result would be life-changing. But the reality is just people don't execute on stuff. And that's why I think what you were saying about in the beginning of the show about relationships and family and business and all that is it's not really hard to pull it all off. You just have to execute. You have to have a plan. You have to have a target. You have to have a plan, and you have to execute the plan. And
so why don't you think people take the actual, they show up to the event, potentially, but let's say they show up to the event and they get information. The information can be life-changing because you guys teach exactly what you do every day in your business, and your businesses are now worth how much? How much revenue are you guys doing per year?
Well, we do about 600 million between all the companies, and value probably 2.5 billion, something like that.
And you started with Grant 13 years ago. What was he doing then? How many employees did he have?
3 employees and about $2.5 million a year in sales.
First of all, I want people to understand that with 3 employees and $2.5 million in sales, that's ridiculous. So everybody knows, everyone understands.
Most people doing that type of revenue have 10 employees, 12 employees, 15 employees.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's me. I have 11 employees. We're doing 2.7 million. Okay. So, but that's about, so 3 employees, like the profit margin on that has to be ridiculous, but that's Grant though, man. He sets a target and he pushes towards it. But he will also say that cost him dearly because he was, the business that he was in was high margin. He got paid. He was trading dollars for time. So he was selling his time as a workshop speaker, trainer. And so he had commanded a high dollar and a ton of margin built into the business because it didn't take him much more, but he was focused on running a lean business rather than building a big business. And so, it's trade-off. And I've heard him say that before, but I'm going to have you reiterate that to everybody. What has he said? I've heard him say he made 2 big mistakes in business. And I want to just hear you see if I picked up what you would say, what his 2 biggest mistakes in business were.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say he stayed small for too long and he didn't think big enough. He even today he's saying, I'm a billion. Like he's not saying this, but he's a billionaire.
Yep.
Like I'm sitting him. I know I've seen financial statements. I've seen bank accounts. Like he is one of about 3,000 people in the world who can call themselves a billionaire. And he's like, the biggest mistake I'm still making is I'm not thinking big enough. And so it's like that one thing. And because he's like, he stayed small. He had the same size business for 15 years.
Yeah.
And it was just small thinking.
And the thing that you're talking about is basically expansion and leveraging other people's time, other people's money, other people's resources. And that's what I talk about people, what I've learned from Grant and from you and from Brandon and everybody in that, in your organization is leverage. Leverage other people's info, buy the book, read it, and take the info you need and leverage their experience and their info instead of figuring it out on your own. Which is why
there's so much information in $25 books that are sitting on bookshelves. And we just had a group, Big Brothers, Big Sisters is in today. We work with them year round. They bring kids in and we talk to them about money and business and success and all these things. And I'm just like, they're getting ready to go to college. And I'm like, guys, they're telling you guys fill out these college applications and you think you need to go get in a bunch of debt to go to college. I'm like, if you are committed, you do not need to go to college. You have all access to all the information you'll ever need. You probably don't even need to buy a book today. I mean, like you could use ChatGPT to get you halfway there, but you just have to, like, even with ChatGPT, let's just assume it has the answers for everything in there. You still have to go punch in the question, get the response, and then go do that thing. The whole thing doesn't change. The game is the same. It's like you have to consume some information. You have to be interested enough to reach out to get the information. You have to consume the information, and then you have to go execute on it. 3 things. You could go to YouTube for that. You could go to Harvard for that. You could go to a public library for that. Like, it's simple. You have to be hungry and interested to go grab information. Then you have to be able to take the information and go implement it. Like, it's a simple process, but most people don't do it.
Why do you think that is though? Why do you think they don't?
I think they don't have big
action?
enough goals. They don't have big enough goals. They're comfortable. They settle. They don't understand money, and how little money they actually have. They haven't had a life event. That's why so many people get in trouble when there's life events, like family members get cancer or get sick or whatever. Is it's those instances that put people in a position where they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money. And by then it's too late. You can't do anything about it then. And so, unfortunately, most people learn from experience rather than advice. Personal experience. They want to do things on their own and figure it out for themselves. And a small percentage of people are able to take information from successful people who've proven track records of success and actually go do it. Man, I don't know. But I just know that when I get the right goal, the right goal is set, and I'm committed to that target, and I understand what the payoff means for me, my family, and my future, I'm willing to do anything. Wake up early, read more books, go to more workshops, travel, move from the town I grew up in, move away from all my friends, move across country. Like, these are all things I've done.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable. I think one of the reasons why people don't take action is they're afraid of being uncomfortable. They've been taught that uncomfortable is a bad thing, but uncomfortable and growth go hand in hand.
Yeah. And again, like when you get a goal that's so big, like, see, the thing is like, you just find out that your mom has cancer, but for $500,000, she can get a treatment that will make it go away. Or your wife or your kid. Tell me you won't move mountains to make that happen. It's because you have the right goal and purpose and outcome that you're going for. You don't have a choice, and you don't give yourself the option. And so you don't even think about it. Like, you would do anything for your kids. I would do anything for my kids. No matter what. I'd give my own life for my kids. Like, that's just because if the outcome required it, like, you would do whatever it takes. And that's why I said that the goal is important, and then understanding the purpose and the reason why. Because you have to have something that's worth doing the work for. And most people have never taken the time to figure that out. They don't have goals, they don't have targets. They don't ever work out what their life is going to be like when they're 60 years old. And because they don't ever do the math of where they're going to be when they're 60 and to figure out what they want their life to look like, or 65 or maybe 50. Like, I'm 40 right now. I'm like, man, dude, if I was worth 100 million, I'm good. I'm out. Like, I'll play golf. I'll spend a bunch of time with my kids. Like, so then the game then becomes, okay, well, if 100 million's your number, or 10 million's your number, or 2 million's your number, how quick do you want to get it? If that will give you everything you want in life, like, how quick would you go get it? And that's the type of motivation that you have to have in actually in order to do something. And that's either created by yourself, or it's created by some external circumstance that forces you into it because you've got a gun to your head, and you have no other option, and you're backed up against the wall. That's why people do such remarkable things when they're backed up against a wall, is because it forces them into action.
I agree, man. I work with so many people in my groups and organizations like that waited until they got in a situation where they had to.
Yeah.
So how does somebody move that forward instead of allowing it to get to a point where now my back's against the wall and I have to do something? How do they do that now? How do they move themselves into that position where they feel like it has to be done, where they are obsessed, be obsessed or be average, right? Their obsessions come to life now.
I mean, for me, like, it's the payoff has to be worth it. And so for everybody, the definition of worth it is different. But for me, the easiest way to start is to always, in business, in relationships, in life, like, across the board, like, the best place for me, this is just what I do. I go to the end outcome. What do I want the end of my life to look like? What do I want my relationship with my wife to look like in 40 years? What do I want my relationship to look like with my kids in 40 years? What do I want our business to look like in 20 years? And I get really clear on that. And I make sure it is the perfect, like my ideal solution, scenario, circumstance, outlook, whatever. And then I just work backwards into what do I need to start doing today? It's the simplest way to get clear. Like, build out your perfect dream life. Like, look at your perfect house. Where do you want to vacation? Look at the trips. Look at the hotels. Look at the prices. This is really important. This is the other piece. Is you got to go into the future and you got to basically build your dream life and then figure out how much it costs. And then do the math all the way back to figure out how much money you need to make this year, next year, the year after that. If you're investing your money and you're making 6% a year or 8% a year or 12% a year, like, what types of assets do you need to invest in? And you literally just build yourself a plan. If I want my relationship when I'm 80 years old with my wife to look like X, 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 and X, I know that over the next 40 years, I'm going to have to do this, like, so that we have date nights once a week. We have once a month where we get together for half a day and just like go and like connect. We'll go get massages. We'll have breakfast. Like, we'll spend like a mini staycation with each other for half a day, just talking about what's coming up next month. What happened this month? Is there anything that's bothering you? Am I not doing anything that you want me to do? Like, and we just have open communication about that. You know, try to buy her flowers, send her flowers just because, write little notes. Like, those are all things that make a better connection of the relationship today, which will ultimately develop into the thing that I want in the future. So it's just about getting clear on the outcome, because too many people show up to work every day. They wake up every day and they've got no idea why they're doing what they're doing. There's no payoff other than I'm getting a check this month. I'm going to pay my bills and hopefully I have something left over. And maybe this year we can go on, we can go on a road trip vacation somewhere. And that's just the way that they live their life.
Everyone needs to pay attention to that, because that's one of the things I teach is you have to figure out what your vision is, what the outcome end result is. And it's really internal work. You look internally. One of the statements I make a lot is know thyself. And I think so many people are living some other version of their life other than themselves because they've been told you need to do this, go to college, have this job, get this amount of money, whatever. One of the most interesting things for me when I hire employees, because I have 2 companies now, and as we hire employees, I ask them, how much money do you want to make? And it's the most interesting thing to me when somebody goes, oh man, if I could just make 60 grand a year, I would be set. Yeah. I'm like, why 60 grand? Why that number? Where's the belief around that? So,
well, and what does that actually mean for you? What does your life look like with that? Like, I had this room full of 18-year-old kids today for the Big Brothers thing. And there's maybe 25 of them. And I'm like, listen, how many of you guys would like to make 120 grand a year? And everybody's hand shot up really fast. And I'm like, it ain't no money. I said, if you guys take one thing from the time that you've been here, just leave knowing that 400 grand is the minimum number that you'll need. It's the minimum number. $1 million used to be the number to retire. 2 million used to be the number to retire. The new number is 10 million. Like these recycled things from the past. Like, my parents were talking about $100,000 a year was a lot of money. It ain't no money now. Over 50% of 6-figure earners live paycheck to paycheck. 60%.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah. Well, I know a guy that's making $1 million a year, has loans, pays rent, and doesn't really have any investments. He just makes that money and pays 40% in taxes and has 600 grand left, and he spends all of it. So, and it's not about how much money you make, it's how much you keep and how much you reinvest. Obviously, but obviously to somebody like you, who's learned from some, just amazing people. And I've done the same. I've learned from those people in the last 4 or 5 years since I've gotten into the 10X Grant Cardone world, as well as all of the people that he has in his ecosystem. That's one of the things I've learned, is that most people are afraid to actually step into the arena with their money. They're afraid to make a plan based on where they currently are, because it just is so emotionally overwhelming to them to put it on the table and look at it and say, this is where I am. It's okay. I'm accepting where I'm at. let's take a plan. Let's make an action plan. You know, if you look at it, Brandon Dawson, he talks about the 5 A's. You got to become aware. You have to acknowledge. You have to accept it. Then you create an action plan, and then you attack the plan. And I think a lot of people never get to that point where they're, unless they have to, like you said, they get their back against the wall.
Yeah.
Let's change subject or gears a little bit, because obviously I could talk to you for hours with the experiences you've had and the things that I've learned over the years. But let's talk about, this is one of my favorite subjects, because in 2019, when I came to GrowthCon, my wife and I were probably in our worst state that we had ever been. And it was simply because I had dreams and goals and ambitions, and she had dreams and goals and ambitions, and they were going like this in two different directions. Sandy, obviously your wife, she is very successful in her own right. You're very successful. You have 2 young children, 6 and 3, I believe. Jake and Jordy are 6 and 3. How do you keep this going in the same direction where you guys are growing together? Other than, I mean, you've mentioned obviously date nights and that sort of thing and communication.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
like,
what does that look like?
Communication, dude. Like, and unfortunately, like for the men, like it's just communication's a hard thing. It's not easy. You know, alignment, communication, accountability, like it's basic stuff, but it's just like what I started doing and at first, like, I don't know, I've been with my wife for 10 years now, and maybe 2 years in, I was like, hey, let's get stuff on the calendar. And the concept for her, even though like she came from an entrepreneurial family, like her dad owns businesses and stuff. And the idea of like calendarizing a relationship to her was like offensive. It was like, what do you mean? Like we can't just like have a great relationship and love each other and do all this and like without having to like put it on a calendar. But like, it was just a way, and eventually we ended up doing that, like, because it's of importance. Like what happens for too many people is they operate in their business as a priority, and then they go home and they don't operate in their relationship like it's a priority. So what do I do when I'm at work and there's something of importance? I put it on my calendar, and it's on the calendar, and we get it done. And it's like, dude, you should calendarize or schedule out your life, like. If you want to end up where you want to go, like you have to plan it. And so for us, it's like, we're constantly doing that. We're constantly having check-ins. I'm finding out, like, we're constantly talking about what we want in the future, and we're just aligned on a lot of stuff. And we knew that going into the relationship, which is why, which is a part of the reason why we got married, you know, like, if she was like, I don't want this and I don't want that, like in the beginning when we were dating, like I was working, you know, we had no kids. So I was working a lot and she was totally cool with it. Like, and I knew that when we were dating, if it was going to be a problem, then it was going to be a problem later. Now it definitely gets more complicated with kids, but that's why you need to make money. You know, I don't want her with the kids all day long, because then when I get home, she's going to be vicious. Like I want to be able to have nannies, and I want to be able to do things like that to, you know, to relieve some pressure for her. And she has her own business, and she's got a coaching business. And so she's, you know, that's her way of having some creation in this world other than just being a mom. And then, you know, she wants to cook me dinners now, because she's like, she wants to. So like there's just all these things that she does because she has her life and I have my life, and we have a lot of that intersects with each other. But then, you know, we each have our own things that we do outside of that too. So, you know, the best way to end up in a good relationship is to, again, what is the outcome that you're looking for? Work backwards into what you need to do now, and that starts with selecting the right partner. And you know, and making sure that you guys are aligned going in, and making sure that the expectations are set really clear. You know this, it goes with employees. Got to set the expectations right up front. It's non-emotional. Like, this is what the expectation is. Can you do this? You can. Okay, good. if there's ever a problem and you're not able to do this anymore, either by your own choice or we're not saying you're capable of doing it, then same non-emotional way we're having this conversation right now, the conversation we're going to be having is it's not a good fit anymore. Good luck to you in the future. And so clearly communicating those things up front, it's everything, man. Like, you know,
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And the fact, you know, a lot of people put their emotional baggage into things, into their job, into communication. And I did that for years as well. My wife and I, like I said, going through a lot. You know, I think, you know, our history, we had a special needs son and he's, you know, 15 now, doing a lot better, but still it was for 8 years, very emotionally draining, emotional impact. And therefore we transferred that over into our relationship and business and in our career. And that's where this whole process came out of, was trying to rebuild out of that.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is for people that maybe are in a tough spot, there's hope, but the solutions are still the same. The things that you're talking about are still the same. We had to start opening up, start communicating and building each other up and going, my goal is to have you be the best person you can be and support you. And your goal is to support me and be the best person I can be. And we do that together as a unit.
Yeah. One of the things that my wife and I, cause you know, I think most people, maybe I'm just generalizing this, but I think most people have a tendency to be selfish. Mm-hmm. Most people, they think about themselves and all that. And one of the things, fortunately, that I learned in business is like how to accept responsibility for everything. Like when the customer is giving me a reason that they didn't do the deal, or they're not going to do the deal, or they're going to wait, or they don't see the value, rather than, you know, placing the blame on them, I'm like, okay, well, how is this my fault? And being able to shift that perspective has been tremendously helpful in the relationship, because for the same reason in business, if you are responsible for creating it, then you have the ability to create a solution for it. But if you are the effect of something, then you're a victim. And so as hard as it is sometimes with a relationship, how can you accept responsibility? How can you make what happened your fault? And I'm probably a little bit better at that than my wife is, because I've had a lot more practice doing it in business. You know, but another thing that we say all the time is just like, if we are always focused on how we can serve the other person, how can I serve you? How can I serve you? How can I serve you? Like, how can I serve them at a higher level? How can I give, you know, if we're trying to outserve each other, we're going to be in good shape, you know?
Well, of course. I mean, and that makes most sense. And I think in the relationships that I've helped people with, they become very selfish and start pointing the finger and blaming. And you talked about being the victim. And one of the things, obviously, I want you to answer is, you know, when you are the victim, how much control do you really have?
None, because it's somebody else's. You are the effect, not the cause. So you can't have control over it. Like if you're, oh, my business is so bad, the economy, la 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 la, it's bull. Like the reason your business is in a bad position is because you're not running your business the right way. It's because you don't have the marketing, you don't have the sales, you don't have the operations, you don't have the people, you don't have the strategy, you don't have the execution. It's because you don't have the leadership. It's because you're not doing the things you need to do in the business for it to win. Other businesses in your space are crushing you right now, and you're blaming it on the economy. It's not the economy's fault. It's your fault. Mm-hmm. As long as it's the economy's fault, like, you're not going to be able to do anything about it, because none of us can change the economy. I told people we were doing a call for another group, and I said, look, the question came out like, you know, how do we handle the recession? I said, it's really easy. If we go into a recession, the single best way that you can handle it is to not participate in it. Like, you have a choice of whether or not you're going to participate in the recession. The masses will participate in it because they watch the news every day. They listen to their friends. The masses will participate in the revenue because they're in the recession, because they become a part of it by proxy and connection, proximity, whatever. I'm going to choose not to participate in it. I'm going to play my game. Maybe my business gets a little bit harder. Maybe sales drop a little bit. but I'm going to act as if everything is fine, and I'm going to keep creating on my business so that I can grow despite it. And I know because we did this in our own business during 2010 when the economy was literally, decimated. Great financial crisis. Like it was decimated. And we doubled the size of our business from 2010 to 2011. We doubled it again from 2011 to 2012 because we didn't participate in the recession. We outworked everybody else. We extended the hours. We created new products. We got creative with our pricing. We just decided that we weren't going to let the business go down because of something that was happening in the economy. It has nothing to do with us. The economy's so big, it doesn't even know that we're there.
And I want everybody to listen to that because you have that choice, and most people don't believe they do have that choice. And if you think about it, if I'm not participating in it, you're going to think differently. You're going to have different emotions. You're going to have different actions, which then lead to different outcomes. And that's what I loved about when I originally started listening to Grant Cardone's material. That's what I loved about it. It was so in your face, and it was so it made so much sense to me. And then I had to have the moment of self-reflection of going, am I that person? And I went, holy crap, I'm not that person. I need to be that person. I need to be more aggressive. I need to be more assertive. I need to be more responsible. So if someone is in that victim mode, victim mentality, and they're like, holy crap, I'm becoming aware of myself doing that. How do they get out of that? How have you seen other people get out of that and transition over into, I'm going to take responsibility for myself, my family, my business, my money, and my life?
Yeah, the first step is just acknowledging, like you said. Then you need to figure out where are your gaps? Like, what can you be doing better? And let's just look at the business as an example. How is your marketing? How's your confidence in your marketing? Oh, it's good. Okay. How many leads did you generate yesterday? What was the cost per lead? What's your highest performing email that you sent in the last 7 days? How many click-throughs did it get? Like, man, you don't know nothing about marketing. I'm not even talking about the message. I'm just talking about tracking, like
just data, information.
Yeah, just the data. Like, you can have a terrible message and still know the data. So it's like, where are the areas that you're weak? Because if you're not in the position that you want to be in, if you're at 1 and you want to be at 10, there's something that you are lacking. There is some information that you're either holding on to that is incorrect and false. It's both, probably. You probably have some false information, some bad data that you actually need to, this is your brain right here. You have false data and misinformation in your brain. You need to remove that and get rid of it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have a space in there that's empty now where all the garbage used to be. And then you need to put the valuable information that you can actually use in that, park it in that spot. Because to get from where you are to where you want to be, there's something you don't know. There is information that is missing. And all you need to do is go find that information. And in business, it's not hieroglyphics that you can't understand. It's sales, marketing, people, finance, operations, leadership, technology. It's like literally these are things that already exist, and there's tons of information out about how to be successful at them. So you have to make the decision to go to ChatGPT and type in the question. Then you have to get the information, consume the information, and learn the information. And then you have to go put the information to work. It's so simple.
I always tell people
the easiest things to do are the easiest things not to do. Writing your goals, simple. It'll change your life if you do it for 30 days. Most people don't do it.
You literally hit on the two subjects that I tell people all the time. I say there's 2 ways that you can change your life. Literally change your business, change everything. Two ways: new information, new actions. That's it. That's it. New information, new actions, because you're going to get new outcomes. Man, I literally love this conversation. I'd like to be around a little campfire having this conversation, maybe with a glass of whiskey and a cigar, maybe.
There you go.
And a guitar. Always a guitar.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'll leave the guitar up to you.
Well, good. You can sing then. You can sing. How's that? Yeah. We'll get the boys in it. They'll probably have a great time with it.
Yeah.
obviously, so every year you guys have done the Growth Con. Next year, 2024, it's coming out. It's April 2nd through the 4th, and this year it's going to be held at the Diplomat Resort and Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. You've held one there in the past. I was there. The the Growth Con has become my favorite event of the year.
Yeah.
The information is great, the motivation and that sort of thing is great, but the people that I have met have been absolutely 100% life-changing.
Yeah.
If someone's like, yeah, what is this Growth Con? What does it do for me? Why would I go? Well, what would you tell somebody for that? Why would they go?
It is the single best event in the country for people who want to do more. And like, it's not like a woo-woo, motivational hoorah event. The reason we bring the people we do, the Tom Brady, Mark Wahlbergs, Donald Trumps, Snoop Dogg's, Lloyd Blankfein, Tillman Fertitta, $10 billion. Like the reason we bring all these people is because we want people to come there and think way bigger than they're thinking right now. Like literally the biggest, because what happens is once you get out of that, once you get out of small think and you think big, then you will actually go do the things. You will take the information from ChatGPT and you'll do it because you'll understand at a big enough scale the impact of the actions that you make. And, you know, number one thing that happens with people that don't know us, they meet us, they're 45 years old, 50 years old, 55 years old, 60 years old. They come across, they go to GrowthCon, they're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. 6 months later, they've been through a couple programs. Everything's changed in their life. Number one thing that they say, man, I wish I would have known about this sooner. I wish I would have been thinking like this sooner. And so if you want to think bigger and just be around a bunch of people who think that success is a good thing, who understand the value of choice and freedom in their life, there is no better event in the country to go to.
Well, and people may not realize this, even though they're following me or watching me, but if they go to my Instagram, Facebook, any of those, or they go to my websites, a lot of the photos that I've had with celebrities come from GrowthCon over the years, including you. You're on my website as well, so appreciate that. But it's not just that. It's seeing somebody like, for me, like Tillman Fertitta, man, billionaire. Okay. Dude is so down to earth and like, yeah, I was good at this and I did more of it and I got bigger and I kept doing it and I borrowed money and kept doing it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just as smart as that guy is.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest realization for me.
Yeah.
Was like, you trick yourself into thinking that these people are special people that have different information or different habits or whatever. They might have different information, but they're just like you.
You know, the difference the difference between them and everybody else that they do over long periods of time is they take the information from ChatGPT and they actually go do it. That's the difference.
That's it.
They get information and then they do it. They actually will execute before having all the data, before having the right information. They do things. So like if you want to have more, you have to do more. And it's not like, oh my gosh, you got to work 100 hours a week. It's literally like you just have to execute on small things. Just do it and follow it all the way through with some discipline and everything will change.
It's consistent, constant, correct action. Those three things. You have to be consistent, constant, and just correct. And how do you know if it's correct? You take action, you take responsibility, you learn from the results, and then you take better actions. It's literally that 100%. Summed up.
100%.
Well, Jarrod, man, this has been an absolute joy. I hope Sandy and the kids are doing great, and I really appreciate you being here. Everybody needs to go check him out. You can go to TikTok. It's Jarrod Glandt 2, or you can go to Instagram. The handle is at Jarrod Glandt. Go anything 10X, anything Grant Cardone. He's got tons of different businesses now, but lots of information on sales, marketing, stages, leadership training, health. Yeah, like 10X Health now. And
HVAC, solar, roofing, cybersecurity, farm and ranch. I mean, it's just, we're blowing up. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you guys are implementing the systems and explaining and teaching the systems that you've implemented to people that grow a business. All you have to do is show up, take action. Show up, take action. Get the info, take action. If that rinse and repeat, keep doing that over time, you will gain knowledge and information, and you'll gain experience, which then makes you bigger and better. Jarrod, really appreciate you, man. Any final statements that you'd like to say to everybody before we part ways today?
Yeah, I just say that like you need to get a goal so big it's worth doing anything for. Set goals for your business, set goals for yourself personally, set goals for your family, for your husband or your wife, for your kids. Like if you live a goal-focused life, you will accomplish more than you could ever imagine. Because too many people are like a blindfold walking around trying to figure out where to throw a dart at a dartboard, hoping that maybe they get lucky, maybe something happens. No direction, no purpose, no vision, no inspiration, no motivation. And they live a very plain, boring life. It does not have to be like that for you. All you have to do is ask for the information, go get it, seek it out, learn it, and then go do something with it. And you'll be ahead of 99% of anybody else in the country.
Jarrod, really appreciate you being here. I hope Sandy and the kids and everybody are doing great. Everybody needs to listen to this and take this to heart. Start taking action. There are some absolute gems that can change your life, but only if you actually do something with the information will they start to change your life. I say that all the time. Other guests have said it. Jarrod's saying it today. Jarrod started with Grant when he was just 27 years old. Didn't have any money, didn't have any experience. He took information, learned it from a guy who had a good business, but they took it and made it great. And it continues to grow and expand. And it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the Fix Your BS podcast, Jarrod.
Thanks so much, Dr. G. I hope to see you at an event soon.
I definitely will be there, of course. All right, everybody, this has been another episode of Fix Your BS, Fix Your Belief Systems, where we try to help you, give you the tools, tips, strategies in order to live your best life, your dream life on your terms. And that's what this has been. Thanks again for watching. We will see you next time on the next episode of Fix Your BS. And take action is the overall idea of this podcast today. Take action. Get the information. Take action. Thanks again. See you next time.